So we're ready to get this last 64 match underway. Well, they've got to wait for the music to stop. And it has, and it's Mark Williams to get us underway. Best of 11, last 64 of the International Championship, up against Sunny Akani from Thailand.
A very interesting match here on paper, two left-handers, both different styles. Akani on his day, and he's progressing fairly quickly. You know, he is a good player. It's a tremendous opening pot. He's already struck me as the kind of player that does quite well against, you know, better players on television. He's had some decent results. He almost beat Ronnie O'Sullivan in the UK Championship last year. Took him very close into the deciding frame. But he's the kind of snooker player who is, as I say, practicing so hard that he can only go one way, and that's up.
Yes, you couldn't accuse him of being a shirker, could you? He's always on that practice table. Good contingent now of Thai players, of course. 25 years ago, James Watanabe was very much one of the best players in the world, but there's some good young players, Noppen Sengkam, Tepchara Nu, although they've actually both been beaten in this round here.
And the one thing about the snooker tour, Dave, is you're going to lose matches. You know, you are going to be beaten along the way quite a bit. There can only ever be one winner of a tournament, and they're playing every week. So it's a question of what you learn from those defeats, I think, and whether it makes you a better player or a player whose confidence goes. Anyway, this is a good start. And that's all right as well. You mentioned the tables. There's been a bit of discussion, I noticed, on social media amongst the players about the pocket sizes. And I noticed Alfie Burden, who's got the high break currently 142, saying that you know, maybe the pocket sizes are all the same, but the tables are playing so beautifully that they're just sliding off the jaws a bit better. You know, when the tables are damp, then they play a bit tighter, these pockets.
Yeah, well, last Chinese tournament, they were all complaining it was too humid. It made scoring difficult. Now apparently scoring is too easy. Well, Sunny Akani looking to get into the pack, but he's just brushed off the side of them, which is why the white's finished where it has.
Yes, I don't think Alfie Burden will be counting his money for the high break price just yet, the way the breaks have been flooding in. 142 has got a chance, but it could easily be beaten, I think, the way that this tournament is already shaping up. He's played that pretty well, actually. No, he's not perfectly behind the black, but he played a nice stun shot, and it's a good start, as I say. Screwing into the bunch here to hold for his next red is the plan.
Well, he certainly struck it very confidently, that red, which is a good sign. And that black, for that matter. I don't think he'd be overawed playing Mark Williams. I think he would just relish being out there, and it's almost like a privilege to play him in some ways. He had that memorable match last season with Ronnie O'Sullivan in the UK Championship, where he was a little bit unlucky in the decider. Lost out 6-5 in the last 16. Well, he's broken off. That's about it so far.
He's got the point now. I think if you get the break off a little wrong and you leave the one red sticking out, it can cost you either a lot of points or the frame. We had a bit of discussion at the English Open about that, with Ronnie O'Sullivan talking about why he breaks off left-handed, and various situations, it's meant to be an advantage, the break-off shot, but if you don't get it right, it can obviously be a big disadvantage. Tend to find in the snooker shootout, which of course you'll be seeing on Eurosport over the course of this season in the new year, that often players let the other guy break off because they know that if they get a bad break off, it could be their one and only shot. It's only a one frame or a 10-minute format, whichever comes first out of those two. That's very well played. That gap between yellow and brown was not a fluke that he got the cue ball in there. That's what he played. This is most encouraging beginning.
Well, it's almost the perfect start, this to a match. Sort of reminiscent of the way a Hendry or an O'Sullivan would start, with a big break to win it. Got to keep going.
Well, you put the long hours of practice in on shots like this, where you do finish the incorrect side of the blue. We've already had him demonstrate one way of getting through the bulk. Now he's going to have to show us again, with the red spread the way they are. It's an art form to miss the bulk colours on the way back. Practice tends to make perfect. He's finished slightly awkward, actually. Thought he played it well, but he's finished with an awkward little chip back to the middle.
Well, that worked out very nicely, it would seem.
Yes, he's nominated the blue. He can get through to it, and I think he has a very, very slight angle to get down somewhere in the region of the reds. Not such a good shot this time. That is actually an error, not to be running through away from the cushion. Frame's not over yet.
No, still needs red and a colour, so this now really, I guess, the last chance for it to go wrong for him.
And that was the problem. He should have won he'd done such good work there, but he should have won the frame. Because he broke down in position, the pressure built up.
Not to be, though, for Mark Williams to the middle. Potted a lot of those sort of balls at the Crucible on his way to victory last season, but not to be here. It's only his second shot of the match.
Sonny Akani's got his own drill, and that's part of it, where he just puts the cue across his hand with his hand in mid-air. It's the most unusual setup for any shot. But as I've said, he seems to be completely self-taught. He and his father, that is, they've worked together. And Nothing in the textbook is there, but as it happens, his cue action is still pretty good. It's nice to think that you could do it your own way, and that seems to be the case.
Well, on another day, Williams could have cleared up there, but he didn't, so Akani, he's going to win this opening frame.
Yes, and speaking about fairly unorthodox technique that he has, we haven't seen him use the rest yet, but when he does use it, you'll see something that you may not have seen before, the way that he plays the rest shot, almost as if he's just playing it the orthodox way with the cue, but using the rest instead of his bridge hand. Anyway, it'll be revealed later. Yeah, this is all right. He's just to miss that one pot. Mark Williams, as you say, has just had a couple of shots. He's experienced enough to know that it only wins a frame. This was the second chance which Sonny Akani needed, which he took well.
Got to the quarterfinals of the shootout last season, which is interesting in a way because he's quite methodical the way he plays. Of course, that's against the shot clock. Anyways, missed that one. So he didn't kill it off at the first time of asking. That broke down on 64. Williams missed that tricky red to the middle. It's only his second shot of the frame. And Akani delighted to get the second bite at the cherry and to pretty swiftly kill off this opening frame. Well, we didn't see much of Mark Williams in that opening frame. I'm sure we will in the rest of the match, but Sonny Akani won it, so it's 1-0 to the tie. On the outside tables, we've got Neil Robertson playing Matt Selt, and the Masters champion Mark Allen is up against Liam Highfield. James Watson, who I mentioned actually earlier, just lost the first round to Zhao Yingtong.
Thinking that your safety against someone like Sonny Akani is going to need to be good. Of course, Mark's got an all-round game. We always think of him as someone who just floats around the table, knocking in long pots and scoring. But of course, he's got a fine safety game. Hitting the blue on that safety shot, causing a problem, giving Mark Williams a chance. Yeah, lost the cue ball down the table. A little surprised, actually. Told that the table was running well, but for some reason the cue ball has just passed where he wanted it to be, and he can't pot a colour now. Certainly not the black, anyhow. I don't think he'll be going for the yellow. Well, you'd have thought he'd be playing snooker here, or certainly trying to get from the blue. I think cue ball in behind the yellow. Decent shot. Very much the youth against experience. Of course, we talk about the class of 1992. Mark Williams, John Higgins, Ronnie O'Sullivan, and a few others are part of all that. And Akani was born 3 years after they turned professional. What the pattern's been in plenty of matches in the last couple of years is that these great players from that era, they get really tested by a player. It's happened to O'Sullivan a lot. A young player, often a young Asian player, will really test them. But ultimately, the experience of the established player still gets them through. They're not actually making as many breakthroughs as you'd think. You know, the younger players in the game. They're just getting close to doing it. Here's another chance to take that further step for Sunny Akani. Well, that's a terrible safety shot. I mean, I'm guessing he tried to swing the cue ball around the back of the black and round and up the table.
Well, in the end, Sunny Akani didn't get too close to that. But at least he didn't leave it on either.
No, I think the red got in the way of the other one. I think for a minute, well, a split second, I should say, Mark Williams was on something. This is troublesome.
Well, it's on. Obviously, the cue ball has come to rest on just off the cushion, as you can see.
Yes, and it was the only red he could possibly get to. And table, the reds are spread, but as you can see, the reds are just a little bit below where they'd usually be, or congregating around the black spot. Mark Williams was certainly one of the players who said that the conditions were great yesterday. He played the early match yesterday in round one. Of course, his match, as we were saying, was held over, so he's already had a match. But he did say that the conditions were perfect. Well, that'll do. Plenty of options here. If he pots the black, the only problem with that is he'll look and see that the black is not available. It'll be tied up. So there's no real value in taking it yet. Maybe later in the break if it goes that far.
One thing about Williams, even in the days before the great explosion of snooker in China, he had a great record in Asia. Won the China Open on 3 occasions, the Thailand Masters on 3 occasions, and of course this season he's won the World Open in Yushan. Never minded travelling.
Yes, I was going to say, he's fairly happy with it, isn't he, with the travelling. In fact, he plays in a number of other tournaments which seem the kind of tournaments someone in his position might want to just have a rest, not play in, but he likes to play, especially in Asia.
Yeah, well, just last week he played in a new event, the Macau Masters, which was an 8-man event. It seemed to be day one a sort of doubles affair, and then the second day a 6 reds singles affair.
Yeah, I must admit, I saw some of the results, didn't really understand the format, I have to say. I was looking through it, and it was more, it felt like an exhibition, didn't it?
Well, judging by the pictures that Mark put up on Twitter, they all enjoyed themselves out there. Of course, Macau is quite a glamorous place to be, to start with, let alone playing snooker.
Drinks were taken over there while they were there, and why not?
I think a few have been taken, haven't they, since he won in Sheffield.
I think he's not doing it too badly, though. I know he's gone a little wrong there. I think he's got a red to the left corner, but he knows it's a long season. He's already had a win this season in the World Open, and he wants to save a little bit for himself for when he really has to dig a bit deeper, perhaps, and find his really best form. His form at the moment is good enough for him to, certainly compete, and in the case of the World Open, win a tournament. Well, it must have been tight. I did think he'd get it all the same. Slightly awkward queuing over this red. Yeah, he's, I think, decelerated on that. It wasn't his best and most positive ball striking, that one.
Did see, I can't remember which player it was, but someone tweeted that he said, "Don't believe this stuff about Mark Williams doesn't practice. He hasn't been off the practice table since we've been here." I think it's always been part of his makeup, is that he sort of likes to make people think he doesn't really care about what's happening. But we saw in Yushan 3 matches in a row there, including the final when he was behind, how deeply he dug in to get the wins. 9-5 down in the final, remember, to Dave Gilbert. Well, that could have worked out better.
Yeah, I think he got a secondary kiss on a red, because I think initially it looked like for a split second he was going to be on something. Making this a very telling safety shot. In behind the yellow would be the target, and that is pretty good. He's covered a large amount of reds, and the ones that he can hit, he's going to do well to hit thin.
Well, Akani delighted to be back at the table. It could have been over there. And Williams got a better cannon.
Pretty sure that drifted off slightly from left to right as we look. It's always risky on these tables to play them that slow. I think Williams' biggest problem there was getting his cue out of the way. And the cue ball hit the cushion and came back towards the way he struck it.
Yeah, this was so thin, wasn't it?
Seen that before, you know, Dave, where players cannot get the cue out of the way. All bounce off the cushion, and it's a foul, of course. Anyway, a red colour, red here, is what he needs. Well, the angle is looking to be okay there. The red by the black, to the left of the black, is the one he'll like to land on. Should then be frame over. Swinging the cue ball across the table. And he'll have a look at the score. He'll know that this is the one that he really needs. There it is. So barring something extraordinary, it's going to be 1-1.
Well, in some ways, it's been a typical Williams frame. He's just done what he's had to do. He's battled, but also pulled off a couple of good shots along the way, not least the red to get in here, the thin red. Only had 2 shots in the first frame, but has dominated the second. Sonny Akani remains in his seat, so it's 1 apiece here. It's been quite a lively start. As I say, Williams didn't do much in the first frame, but he's done plenty in the second. It's first to 6 to reach the last 32 of the International Championship in Daqing in China. Mark Williams and Sonny Akani are level at 1 frame apiece. Mark Williams then to breaking frame 3 this time last year. So end of October 2017, he'd won 18 ranking events. He's now won 22. Of course, he won the Northern Ireland Open very shortly after this event last season. Then the German Masters World Championship, and this season the World Open. Remarkable, really, the year he's had.
Much too thick, and of course the red goes almost as far as the cue ball when that happens. And the angle actually was perfect to run on the black. Screwing into the bunch. Oh dear. You'd be furious to have missed one of those. Obviously, you can miss them when you play them with pace. I think if he'd have rolled it in or played onto a red in the open, I'd be amazed if he'd have missed it. But it's a sign that whatever he's doing well last year and in the World Open, he's not doing any more. You mentioned it's been a bit patchy since then, and I agree. He's not firing on all cylinders.
No, and you wouldn't often see him do that, rattle his cue on the rail like that. You know, we always say how laid back he is, but you can see he was really upset to miss that.
How does he play on the black is the question. He could do with being a left-hander. Deciding to go up for the blue, but The black on this spot would not have been the worst scenario. Into the bunch is an option here. The pack are quite loose, so you could potentially open a number of reds up here. Well, he wasn't on a board, I don't think, anyway, but to knock a red in on that shot has happened to everybody over the years. Question is, could he have avoided it? Well, there was some sort of a plant on already, as you saw from that last shot. There was something there. Well, the snooker is obviously there. If he did play in behind the yellow, he'd like to cover the left cushion so that the red just above the yellow is not easily hittable. Don't think he's done it. That could have been better, I would say. Mark Williams is probably good enough to hit the far side of the red, push it up the table and keep the cue ball in bulk. That is exactly what happened. I think that Sonny Akani could have played that snooker a little better. That's player view, and it's a pretty murky old view. There's nothing there that he can really get to. I don't know if he can get through the gap between yellow and brown. And as I say, he almost brought this upon himself. He had to block the left cushion. Williams would not have had anything like such an easy shot to escape the snooker and make it an attacking shot as well. It's these small things that make the difference between the great players and the up-and-coming players, I think. That's going straight back. It reminds me of some of the misses you used to see in the early 80s when the miss rule didn't exist. In this case, he didn't mean to do it, but a lot of the times back then they did. Players would get nowhere near. Not sure what that discussion's about. Didn't get anywhere near a red. It was nothing to do with that. Yes, he was nowhere near it first time around, so take two will hopefully be a better shot from his point of view anyway. Well, the referee hopefully has seen that one, because that was almost the same shot. Got the feeling that the first time the referee didn't think there was a foul. Referee's getting a bit involved here, isn't he? What's going on? Just put the balls back and get on with it.
Well, is he saying he can see a red full? In which case he'd be warned, of course.
Well, you say that. I did notice there was a gap between the yellow and brown. I did say at the time there was a gap between yellow and brown, and if you can see it full on, the referee's right.
Well, it really puts the pressure on Akani now. He's got to hit a red, otherwise he loses the frame.
If the warning has been given, you're right. But I don't know what all the discussion was about, certainly first time, anyhow.
No, also it's kind of the standard practice. You put the cue ball back and then you administer the warning. He kind of couldn't wait to tell him, almost. Going to check now. He's obviously tight.
If he honestly thinks he can hit that without any kind of a problem, then...
It's possible for us to tell without seeing the angle.
No, but
Williams getting involved now.
No, but we did have the player view, didn't we, of the shot before he played the first one.
Well, they're going to call up the monitor, it would seem.
Personally, I can't see how this can be under the 3 strikes and out rule. As you say, we're not dead in line, but we have a rough idea that there's a little gap, perhaps, between the yellow and brown.
Mark is speaking up on behalf of his opponent here.
The referee's absolutely adamant that he can get through there. He's having none of it. Of course, if the referee, just to explain, if he thinks he can see a ball full on, this is the 3rd attempt, he'll warn the player, and if he makes no contact with the red, then they just set him up and it's frame to Mark Williams. It happens, but this seems to be rather strict enforcement of that rule, to me.
Well, it's just hard for us to tell without seeing it exactly. If you can see a red full, he's putting that red there. That's going to be in line with the red he can see full, is what he's saying.
I know, but if it's that tight, I mean, I must say that there could be a gap between those two balls. Extraordinary, isn't it?
Well, something's got to happen eventually here. Let's have a look. This is... Wow.
Well, there you see. I mean, as it happens, it looks to me on that, if Hawkeye's got it right, he can see the red full on.
Well, he's unlucky then, but he's going to have to play it, because that's the rule. If you can see the red full, he's going to have to hit a red.
Well, he can still play out of the snooker if he wants to, but he'll have to hit it. And make sure you hit it.
Well, all the chatting and smiling, but I assume he's stuck to the decision here.
And if he hits the yellow or brown on the way through, it's end of frame. Get a few things crop up at snooker, don't you, like that? I'm sure, didn't you say that there was a player in the English, Nick, was it Lee Walker who, on the 3 strikes and out rule, lost a frame?
He did, yeah. And he was in a difficult position where he really had to play the same shot the 3rd time.
More difficult than this, I wonder. I think it was on an outside table, wasn't it, anyhow?
Well, he's got to hit one, simple as that. But, of course, the danger is he leaves a pot on and then it potentially leads to him losing the frame anyway. Not sure Mark's going to help you now.
Still playing out of a snooker. Goodness, well, why? If he was going to play that shot, why didn't he just play to hit the red that he could see? I've no idea why he played the hit and hope. He must have felt that he still couldn't see the red. Odd situation, wasn't it?
Yes, I mean, from the player view that we saw, the Hawkeye picture, the referee was correct. He could see the red full, but he was still in a very difficult position. Anyway, Williams looking to take advantage.
Yes, I think on the first time, someone was actually messaged me to say that I think the referee called a foul 4, but Carney pointed out that he hit the blue on the way through. That was a different issue to the one that cropped up later on. That's not a good shot. Not at all. Didn't mean to get anywhere near the 4 reds. Mark looks a little ill at ease out there, I think. Tough shot, this. Yeah, just didn't overly fancy him for it, the way that he looks to be hitting them. This wasn't particularly close.
Oh, what a touch he's had there. The red's flicked off the other red and gone in.
So he'll be playing out of another snooker here, Akani. This time he definitely can't see a red.
Well, he's 29 behind, and Williams, I guess, looking for one more chance. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty definitive. It's not going to be the 3 miss rule.
No, he'd like to get... I mean, the 2 reds you can see right on the... from the right, from that shot, there's a gap behind the right-hand one of those. If he could tuck the cue ball in there, that would be a lovely place to aim, but you need a map to get there, I think, on this table. I think that the red and the blue in the middle of the table are kind of in the way of swinging the cue ball around and getting behind those 2 reds. And all the other reds are out in open play, so you'd concentrate on those 2 reds bottom left, but the angle he's coming in at, he can't get right in behind them. He didn't need a wider angle. Safe to say, he's in plenty of trouble here. I think that the red and the blue could be in the way of the shot he's trying here. And that was the problem. Without them being there, he had the angle. Probably going to cost him the frame.
So good chance for Williams to take a 2-1 lead. Still battling the elements a little bit, Mark Williams, but throughout his career he's made a habit of winning frames that in some ways are a bit forgettable. He doesn't mind that. Some players can get a bit down on themselves when things aren't going well, but he just battles through.
Yes, I mean, you're trying to get to 6 frames, aren't you? You can't always do it with a century. You've just got to chalk off another frame and make that target slightly closer. That's really all the game is. Nice to play your best, but you can't always play your best. This frame is gone, barring snookers. This goes in, he certainly would never come back to the table, you'd say. So somehow Williams is 2-1 up, although you get the feeling that Sonny Akani has done most of the playing, really. Certainly in that first frame.
Well, it was bits and pieces, but he always sort of seemed in control, Mark Williams, of the frame, and he has won it. So having lost the opening frame, he now leads 2-1, with 6, of course, the target for place in the last 32. Both players leaving the arena after that frame. Not a very happy one for Sonny Akani, it's got to be said, all things considered.
Williams just in front, because he knows in front without ever really setting the world alight yet. It's not a good shot. I wonder if he's left the red through the gap, and by the black, that would be crucial. Red to have stuck up here. Yes, he can get through. This is a good early chance. Well, the pack fairly tightly grouped, and more so that the Reds, I guess, are in each other's way than that. There's one that goes. It's the one right in the gap there. Referee waving his arms back. He's trying to stop people from moving behind the line of Sonny Akani's shot. Now, has he finished on the red? I get the feeling not, that he's looking up the table. This is, I'm sure, the kind of shot he practices for many hours, but it's a very difficult long red all the same. Oh, fabulous shot. That really was played with a lot of confidence. Could be going into the bunch here. Deserves to be on one.
20.
Really good shot, actually. And that's a nice cannon also. He's played a series of very good cannons in this break already. He's very confident in amongst them. This was the shot. He just cannons into the red, far red, and lands on the one just below it. A lot of parts of his game are very good, Sonny Akani. Solid ball striker. Very regimented in his routine. Does it all his own way. Good discipline as a player. Obviously, he still has things to learn about the game. But you feel that he's taking it all in. I think he'll get there. I really think he could go quite a long way in the game if he keeps doing what he's doing.
There's no doubt one of his strengths is his enthusiasm for the game, which cannot be faulted. He loves playing, loves practicing. Seems to have a very positive attitude in general. Really got into the white there, didn't he?
Almost screwed him off, actually, yeah. He would have liked to have been quite a long way nearer the middle of the table than he ended up finishing. Well, he put a lot into the pot without ever looking like he was going to finish guaranteed on a colour. Now what does he do? 51-0 up suggests he really should play a safety shot and maybe get a high-value colour safe. He could put the pink onto the left cushion. You might be thinking about going for the pot, but sometimes you can just push the boat out too far. Yeah, I think that's the correct shot under the circumstances.
Akani 51.
I think that shot of Akani's should be determined by the actual score in the frame. 51-0 down, he might have thought it was worth taking a risk.
Mark Selby won in the end, a close third frame with Ken Doherty, so Selby going well, 3-0 up. David Lilly also now 3-0 up on Ben Wollaston.
Yeah, winning that match to play Alfie Burden, so you can get a player right through to the last 16 if he goes on and wins that game, because he's not beaten Ben Wollaston yet. The opportunities are plenty, and that was a chance of a plant which he knocked in.
Some distance between the Reds here.
Yeah, I mean, his cue ball, the aim was to get his cue ball back, but like you say, he had to make it. And the Reds had a fair way to go before they hit each other. There you see the way that he just walked into the shot in his very own style. And he's somehow managed to once again to finish it slightly awkwardly.
So now he has got the rest out. You can see what Neil was saying earlier.
Well, it seems to work, and I must say, other players might say, well, I'm not sure about that, but I bet you they've not tried it very much. It's something that you might, if you've never seen snooker played before on the TV, you might think that's the way to do it. I'm sure that's how it started. You know, he's, as I said earlier, self-taught. Makes him very interesting player to watch. Charming to be around. What lovely manners. Every time you see him, always stops playing, comes and says hello, shakes hands. The big shot here. And he took it well. And red colour is all he needs.
Yes, I mean, if the business with the rest, if it works for him, it works, and there's no reason why he should change it. Kept the break going. He's a couple of balls away here from making it 2-2. Again, he's really got into the cue ball. It's finished on the cushion. Still needs this blue.
It's one of these, the cue ball's quite close to enough in the bottom left here, so he wouldn't be playing it with too much pace. He's avoided that. And it's interesting, if it does go 2-2, which seems likely, unless I've been watching this game wrong, it looks like Sonny Akani has been doing most of the playing. Somehow Williams has won the two frames which were less fluent.
Yes, Akani's made the two half centuries, 64 and 51. They've all been kind of one-sided frames in terms of the score lines, but the main thing for him is he's won this one. He's going to be level. And now that the frame's well and truly won, he can relax a bit and pot a few balls and send himself to the dressing rooms for the interval feeling pretty chipper about things.
Akani 26.
Yes, it's set up nicely for when they come back in 15 minutes' time. He's just checking what time he will be coming back. Main thing, as I say, for him, he's won the fourth frame. He's levelled up at 2-2. Welcome back. Just getting underway again as we come back here in Darching. 2-2, Mark Williams and Sonny Akani. All four frames have been sort of one-sided in the scoreline, although, as Neil said, Akani sort of seems to have most of the table time. Anyway, it's 2-2. It's a best of 7 now, really, to reach the last 32 of this international championship.
Yes, it was an entertaining first 4 frames. Carney's queuing well enough to win anyhow. Whether he can get over the line is another matter against someone with such experience. And, of course, the current world champion, we shouldn't forget. I think Sonny Akani, as I was saying, is one of these players who seems to play better in this kind of environment than out in the sort of smaller setups playing lower ranked players. He seems to come unstuck occasionally out there, but his matches against top players have been very good.
Well, this could be trouble for Sonny Akani. He's overcut the red and stuck Williams bang in. Williams hasn't made any breaks to speak of yet. It's all been bits and pieces, and as we said earlier, he doesn't mind that, but even so, he may now look to try and impose himself on this match.
Eight. Nine. $16. 17.
A good recovery shot, but you kind of felt that he would get it. What he hasn't done is got perfectly on the colour. Green is not so much in the way on this shot because the natural angle is to miss it, but if you're stunning it around, which is the most comfortable way, potentially the green would come in play, so he'll make sure he plays it in such a way he doesn't hit the green. But that's the problem, you see, that if you're stunning it through, often the path across the green is the most comfortable potting way of playing the shot. Surprised he missed it by a mile, though.
One.
Well, there's lots of ways this can go wrong. Sometimes the white can go in, a red can go in. The other way, of course, is you don't land on a red.
Yes, I think he was unlucky. Never really got into the bunch perfectly, but to finish where he has, you have to say he could have been more fortunate than that. Well, then you got cover. Well, this is a sheer containing shot is playing.
Foul and a miss. Mark Williams 4.
Well, obviously, there's no question that this would be come under the 3 strikes and out rule should he miss the second time. The referee is actually getting into slight quibble with the marker there. Just trying to get the ball put back correctly. So, same shot, but hopefully from his point of view better. Rolling up in behind the red. Likely that the referee will come into play here again.
Foul and a miss. Mark Williams 4.
Interesting, because he's left a red this time. Back, and this will be, undeniably, the warning. Miss again. Frame is gone. Under the 3 strikes and out rule, when you've got a clear shot at a red, in this case, loads of reds.
This is second and 4.
That was the warning. Can make it. I have to say that you can become a very dangerous player on the 3rd shot, because he's obviously going to go for one now. He's likely to crunch one in and clear up, because I've seen that done before. Because he's got complete license to go for whatever he wants to. Got to hit one. There you see. He's a bit unlucky not to be on a colour, actually. Williams maybe could have thought of that. Having to put back the 3rd time can lead to problems of your own. He's unlucky not to be on anything.
Yellow ball. Akani 1.
Just to say, Mark Allen in big trouble now in his match with Liam Highfield. 4-0 down there. Neil Robertson, though, going well, 3-1 up on Matt Seld. Of course, Neil Robertson won the first tournament of the season, the Riga Masters, but has faded a little bit since then. So many tournaments now, though, it doesn't take long for things to turn around with one good week.
I'm desperately trying to get that cue ball back and into bulk there, which he hasn't managed.
One. Seven. Eight.
Well, these are the kind of chances that you'd expect the world champion to take. I know the black's out of play, but I wonder if the red to the right of the black could be potted at some point. You can see enough of it, and then, of course, black becomes in play also. Add to that, he's quite a few in front. 33 and counting, so he may not even need that to happen.
$21. 22.
Well, it's been a very open match, this. There's been plenty gone for, but plenty missed as well. Williams looking to feed off this opening. It's already 40 in front, 46 with that pink. So not too far from going back in front.
29.
Yeah, it's just another red after this pretty simple pink. Yes, you felt the first 4 frames, you're just staying in the match, really. Just staying there, not queuing brilliantly, missing a couple. Just
36.
lying handy, and now, with all his experience, just move up a gear if the chances come. And they have in this frame. So, as I say, that was frame ball.
42. 43. $49.
Well, at least we now know that the red did go all along.
Well, it's his first half century.
$57.
Snooker's renaissance man, Mark Williams, this last year. I mean, he hadn't completely gone, but he was sort of sliding down the rankings. He, of course, didn't play in the World Championship 2017 at the Crucible, didn't qualify. Then a year later came back and won it. Some story, and he's hoping the story is going to continue a little while longer. It's 3-2 to Mark Williams here in Darching, day 2 of Snooker's International Championship. Sonny Akani to break here in frame 6 of a possible 11. Never been more than a frame between them. But Williams just made his first half century of 57. Mark Selby and Ken Doherty have resumed on table 1. That's live on the Eurosport player.
It's all curing now. He always hit that there, just on his backswing, and decided at the last second to pull out of the shot. Always a concern you're going to push your red over a pocket on these. And I'm afraid that's exactly what's happened. Cue ball could have done with being the other side of the yellow. Now he's given a chance, which he could have, someone of his experience, I think, avoided there.
One.
I have to say, he played it without any great control. I do think that he's got a shot at the black here, which keeps him in chance of keeping the break going. Of course, getting onto his next red is another thing that he's got to concern himself with. No, not lucky this time, I don't think. There could be a red that goes to the left middle if it passes the pink, but I think it looks tight.
8.
Could be that that safety error from Williams is going to go relatively unpunished.
Akani 8.
Well, these are the kind of safety shots which, of course, can go wrong. Didn't glance. Yeah. And look where the balls are. What an opportunity. I think the black will go to the right corner. If you could roll that red in and get behind the black, this is a golden chance for the frame. Question is getting this first shot right.
1.
Well, that's okay.
Yes, he's on the black, but still a bit of pressure on this because where the reds are, if he misses it, then it's big trouble. He gets it, and you can see him getting away in the frame.
Eight. Nine.
Well, he doesn't look quite as fluent as he was earlier in the match. That cue ball has only just gone far enough for the blue. He's got to come through bolt, which won't be difficult because the yellow's away from his spot. But he just looks to be just tightening up a touch now as the match develops. Now he's hit the brown. See, the pressure's building. He's not responding at the moment to
14.
the challenge that Mark Williams is putting to him. Sometimes it's easy to start a match well, but to sustain that, not easy. Another good shot required here.
I'm
not sure how the break's going to continue now.
Green ball.
You find that you have a series of difficult shots in a row. So in the end, something has to give. He's going to try and get in behind yellow and brown here, I think.
Foul. Akani 50, Mark Williams 4.
Just feel that right now, Akani is the player that's struggling a little bit. Was the other way around early on, actually, in the match?
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing for the break to end there, but to go in off is could be a bad mistake, really. Oh, but Williams didn't get too close in the end of the pot. Yeah, he looks a bit fed up as well, even though he's in front. I suspect one man who's pretty chipper about the match is Mark Selby. He's gone 5-0 up now against Ken Doherty.
Well, again, it wasn't an easy red, but in missing it, he's left a chance. Getting awkwardly. Red, not straightforward, and getting onto a colour, not easy either. They just slid away through the gap. Still not perfect by any means. It's turning into a funny old frame, this. Both players are starting to just drop out of position a little bit. Well, he's playing this in the middle. This is not easy.
Mark Williams 1.
No. One of those shots, it might not have looked that difficult on your television screen, but the angle was an awkward one, and there wasn't much pocket from there that he could pot the pink into. Quite an acute angle.
One.
Yes, and of course Williams started to get Carney where he wanted him, but has not been able to deliver the blow that takes him further in front. And we know he hasn't, not as in match practices as he might want to be. People are saying that he still is practicing a lot, but you know he's out and still celebrating the World Championship win a bit. So he's got him where he wants him, but now he's let him off the hook.
4.
Carney has got to come back strongly.
Yes, I mean, an error-strewn frame. He's potted that green. It's now the only colour on its spot, which tells you the sort of frame it's been. But plenty of reds to go at here. He's already in front.
Five. Twelve. 13. $20. 21.
Well, the little drill that he's got on every shot, he's always there. Almost looks like he's getting down on the shot, and then he does that strange little manoeuvre, and every shot, it's there. Ooh, that was a horrendous kick. Really bad. Still on the red, but I tell you what, when cue ball hit object ball, there was a huge jump.
$28. $29.
Well, it's still hard work here to continue. This needs good cueing. Well, he played it so positively. So at least by 54. Just checking the scoreboard. Red and a blue would be enough.
6. $37.
So a lot of mistakes in this frame from both players, but Akani looks set to win it.
Almost a bit of a lie down there. As Dave said, it's one snooker anyhow. He needs a snooker, but only one. And it's over now, I think. Mark can stay in his chair a little bit longer. Rest up for the next frame.
Akani, 43.
Well, Williams, he's only coming back to put his cue on the table. He didn't look in the best of moods to continue playing for snookers, that's for sure. This was the double that really well and truly clinched the frame for Sonny Akani, who's battling well here. It wasn't the best of frames quality-wise, but he won't care. He's won it, and we're all square again. These two still can't be separated here in Darching. Mark Williams and Sonny Akani level at 3 frames all. So Mark Williams getting frame 7 underway. One thing about this match is disparity certainly in average shot times. Williams is just over 20 seconds. Akani just under 29. So when he's at the table, it's taken maybe a while.
Yeah, that's interesting, Dave, because I don't actually think he's slow. I think his preparation for each shot takes us a bit longer than the others, if you know what I mean. He's not slow to decide.
No, it's a mechanical cue action.
Yeah, well, very much so. As mechanical a cue action, I think, as you'll see.
Apologies if you can hear the music in the background. I'm not sure what that is. If you can't hear it, then it's obviously just us.
And Williams not interested in playing off the bunch there and opening up the reds. He's got the experience, of course, to beat Akani. He's going to have to back that up by playing a little better than he currently is.
1.
Goodness. Oh, I think he can see the edge of the black here if he wants to play safe off it. I don't think he can get to the potting angle, can he? On the pink. It must be tight if he can. Maybe he can. Playing up the table. I suppose a bit unfortunate to finish there.
Akani 1.
I think Mark Williams was saying he's actually aiming for a different red, and they rolled off a bit.
Yeah, but I think that Mark Williams, at this point in the match, will happily engage in a little bit of banter and try and make it seem a light-hearted affair, but you can bet your life that when he gets his chance, he'll be very serious.
Yeah, it makes me laugh. You sometimes hear people say, oh, it was much more fun in the old days when some of the old players, you'd see them laughing and joking. Listen, that was all part of the game in those days. They wanted to win more than anyone because there was hardly any money in the sport and every pound you earned was important. Still is, of course, but there's much more to play for now, many more tournaments.
Well, a lot of the players were very happy around the table, but a lot of them also laughed at the precise moment they were not very happy at all. You know, that's you get that little bit when people smile, but the smile doesn't really tell the full story. Yeah, the game was very different back then, of course. Dear old Fred Davis playing well into his 60s at the Crucible, and I think he even continued when he was older than that. You know, it was a very different sport to what it is now.
Yes, Fred Davis, he played Steve Davis in the World Masters at Birmingham when he was 77. That's what you call a career. It started in the 1930s. Anyway, Williams eyeing this red up. He's just struggling, isn't he? I mean, that wasn't easy by any means, but just to get in and get his kind of rhythm back again, it's all gone a little bit for the Welshman. And he is starting to react a bit, which you don't normally see, actually, from Mark Williams. We saw him in the last frame sort of slumped in his chair, not looking happy at all.
Yes, it's the point I was making is that, you know, he can outmaneuver someone like Akani on experience, and he's outmaneuvered him here because he's got a long pot, but you've still got to hurt them by scoring when that chance comes, or else you'll never win. And no one knows that better than Mark himself. I mean, he is a master. And his performance in winning the World Championships in the spring was one of the greatest I think the game's ever seen. One of the greatest, not maybe the greatest, but... Now, of course, he needs to knuckle down, I think. There is no harm in him thoroughly enjoying his year as champion again after so much of a gap between his second and third world titles.
7.
There's no reason why he couldn't end up world number one. The points he's got in the bag, basically. That would be an achievement at his age. It just feels at the moment, though,
Mark Williams 7.
he's not in the same form as he was earlier in the year, that's for sure.
I know it's become very sort of stop-start, isn't it, now, this match? It's sort of like sort of buffering almost when you're trying to get on the internet. It's not quite working. But you get the feeling Akani will get less frustrated. He'd be delighted to be 3-3. He's not played out of his skin, but he's 3-all with the world champion.
Six.
They're not exactly position A to finish.
Akani 6.
Well, if Mark can play out of that little area, then he'll head up the table. A re-rack is not impossible, but sometimes when there's a red near a pocket, it's more likely. Williams will be having a little look over. I think he'd be more than happy to start this frame again.
Meanwhile, Mark Selby's through 6-0, so it was at midnight last night, but he's the first off in this session. He's beaten Ken Doherty. He'll play Robert Milkins, the milkman, tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not been a good 24 hours for the two WSA wildcard concessions from start of last season, was it? Both beaten 6-0. Of course, Jimmy White, my good pal, he's not had the best week, really, is he? Was beaten in the World Seniors by brother of Dechuat Poomjang. Didn't win a frame in that match either. How about that for a shot? That was very nicely done. Well, he'll be disappointed there. I mean, he's obviously gone for the pot, but if you miss those, there's always a real chance you'll leave them over the pocket. Oh, well, he's on the pink. Mark Williams must be getting a bit worried about his form, you know. His concentration looks to be average at best. And if Sonny Akani can win this frame and get back in front, he might fancy beating him today. If you're going to play the world champion on any given day, whoever that world champion is, this could be the day.
Seven. 8.
So Akani nicely in here, and you can see there the result I just mentioned a moment ago. Mark Selby, a handsome win for him, 6-0 over Ken Doherty. I know that Mark naturally has been very upset with the news from Leicester City. He's a long way from home, but he's also a very proud professional, and that's his 16th straight win here in Darching. He's won the tournament the last 2 years, and he'll play Robert Milkins in the last 32 tomorrow.
$50. 16.
Well, there was an area in which he would have liked to have got just
21.
further down to the red to the left corner, but he's still all right here. You feel that even though this is obviously, no other player is near to the target of 6 yet, this is an important passage of play. If Sonny Akani can get back to scoring ways and win this frame here, then you'd feel that he would be looking the stronger of the two. Williams somehow can get himself 4-3 up. None of what has gone in the last 20 minutes will matter, because at the moment Williams has lost his weight, and it would mean a lot to Sonny Akani. There he is with that unique way of using the rest. I do believe that, you know, when you're a snooker player at whatever level near the top, if you can beat the world champion
22.
during the year of them being world champion, it's a very big feather in your cap.
$29. 30. 35.
Oh, this is a very difficult shot now. The pot, I think the cue ball would go in behind, around the back of the black, and get on it into the opposite corner, but it's not easy. Played it okay.
36.
He's not perfect on the black, but he's still going. Yes, it's a question of just can he hold, and he's done it very well. That's a good shot. Say, such a thin pot, you've got to make sure that you
43.
play it slowly enough to pot it and don't go too far up for the next red. And manage them both.
44.
So as I said earlier, you just hit a bit of a flat spot, Akani, after the mid-session interval where he was I think, struggling, but he may have read the signs that his opponent, the world champion, is also struggling. That's also very nicely done.
49. $50.
It's only Akani's third half century of the day. And as you can see, a couple of balls away from going back in front.
Yes, Dave, just the red needed, and he's starting to look the player he was at the very beginning of this match. Well, I thought he started brightly, but he's playing like that again now.
$58.
Yeah, it's a question now whether Williams can just up his game a bit.
$65. 66.
Yeah, he's just having to watch this frame has gone by.
74.
Second time that Akani would have been in front. He won the first frame as well.
$81. 82.
That's a superb shot. It really is to finish in there. Still got a pot yellow and green from that position. If he's going to get the century, then I think that will be most of the way there. But
90.
It's been very, very nicely taken so far.
$93.
Well, as we've been saying, he loves playing, he loves snooker, and he'll be loving this right now. A chance to make a century against the world champion, just a couple of balls needed.
$97.
That's nicely done.
102.
Yeah, it's been a really good break, and career century 17. I mean, he's not been a pro that long, but it's not that many centuries, so he's going to enjoy them when they come at this stage of his career. Crucially, though, he's put him in front again.
108.
Yeah, 108, nicely done. By far the highest break of this match. Sonny Akani goes in front against the world champion Mark Williams with a bit to think about. His game not quite there at the moment. He's got to try and pull himself together for the 8th frame, because it's Sonny Akani leading now by 4 frames to 3.
Yes, you're right. He certainly played some good stuff from behind in that tournament. I don't think he's playing quite as well this week, but we'll see what he can find when he needs to. I would never put it beyond him. The reason I say that, he's so happy-go-lucky about stuff. Doesn't let things bother him. Wins with dignity and loses the same. But as I said earlier, he will have to start scoring more heavily than he is if he's going to win this match. And should he do that and progress all that far this week? I don't know if his game is in particularly good shape. This man, at the moment, looks more dangerous in the balls. And that is just an absolutely stunning long pot.
One.
It really is, and he deserves that little nudge. He'd have done the blue anyway, but that's even better. Fantastic pot. Just the cue ball was always going to crash into the other red. That was the big worry on the shot. Into the bunch by the looks of things. Big shot again. Deserves to be on a red. The only red I think he's on is the one up the table. It's sort of the cueing shot that, once again, I'm sure he's been practicing. This goes in, it'll make him feel very good.
Seven.
Very good. As I say, I have been in many a practice room at venues in the last 2 years and watched Sonny Akani practice, and he is playing all the shots, that sort of shot that he's just knocked in. He'll play hundreds of those. Literally hundreds.
Ten.
I've actually seen him in practice rooms when he's not on the list of players to practice, and when someone just comes off before the next person turns up, he'll just nick on the table and have 5 or 10 more minutes. He's never out of the place, and as I say, in the end, should pay dividends. He's just the wrong side of the blue here.
16.
It was a bold shot, wasn't it, to go into the bunch there? And I suppose it's the kind of shot, if the red's nearer the pocket and you think you can't miss it, you might play it. But it wasn't a sitter, the red that he took on, and you're in all kinds of trouble if that doesn't go in.
Didn't leave anything easy, though. Mark Williams has knocked that one in. It's a good sign because he missed one not dissimilar to that earlier in the match, and he has been struggling a little bit.
It's the kind of red, though, Dave, that he knocked in. He might have been happy had it not gone in. This is a tough shot now. He had a good cue ball when that red went in. Wouldn't have minded leaving it where it was, and the pot not dropped. Put himself under pressure, and he's missed again.
Yeah, he's not right, Williams. No two ways about it. And Akani has just made a century, so he's feeling great. Just say as well, Neil Robertson has beaten Matt Selt 6-1, and an interesting match for Neil now against Joe Perry, of course, who he knows very well indeed from Cambridge, practice in the same club.
I think he and Selt go back a long way also, don't they? Because the year that Robertson won the World Championship, Selt was with him most of the week. He was, of course, not playing at the Crucible that year, but he seemed to be in his corner.
5. Six.
So second time lucky, he's hoping, having got him once and then gifted the second chance. I think Williams felt obliged to play that brown ball to the left middle. He didn't have an easy safety shot with the red up there.
The century that he made in the last frame, the 44th of the tournament. It's only day 2. Mark Selby had 3 against Ken Doherty.
Yes, and plenty of players, as we were saying earlier, are making the point that the tables, A, are very good, and B, are playing somewhat easier than usual. They are templated, whether that's to do with the ball sliding off the edge of the pocket, I'm not sure.
Well, there's the result I just mentioned. Neil Robertson winning 6-1 to set up that meeting with his pal, Joe Perry.
Well, that would be a significant frame, wouldn't it, to get 2 up in this match for Akani. Not done it yet, but he's making sure he goes through all the usual routines on every shot.
19.
I don't have him down as a slow player. I know you made the point that he's around about 27 seconds per shot. I don't feel he's slow. It's just the way that the shot ends up from here on in. You know, there are quicker players, I guess.
Yeah, and he's certainly very attacking. No one could say that he doesn't go for his shots.
No, I like watching him play.
Well, he's banging here with a chance to lead 5-3.
25. $26. So there's 3. So there's 4.
So on the brink of another frame.
41.
Red and any colour.
42.
Obviously, had he taken the yellow, it would have been a tie, potentially, but that was never likely. And we've been saying for about half an hour more that Akani is by far the stronger of the two, and he's the more dangerous in amongst them. He's angry, but he could still drop this in. I think he'll fancy it from right behind it like that.
So it's going to be 5-3, and Sonny Akani is going to be a frame from knocking out the world champion. He's playing the better snooker, quite clearly, of the two.
Get the feeling, Dave, that he wants to make back-to-back hundreds.
Well, coming into the tournament, this match, he'd only made 2 all season, so he can double his tally for the whole campaign.
He sets himself milestones. I just got the feeling he looked so angry when he didn't get on the red perfectly to the middle, which he eventually potted anyway. I've got a feeling that that's something that he's been aiming for. And it's not a bad way to be, because all the time you're keeping your opponent in his chair, and you're
62.
keeping the same flow that's got you there in the first place by just continuing with the break. Doesn't look to me like he's easing off at all now that the frame's well and truly over.
63. $70. $71. $74.
Oh, just overscrewed a bit there, and he's using the rest in the conventional way, you'll notice there.
$76.
It's just a question of how many. Tough shot to keep it going.
$79.
I think he sets himself goals, and this would be nice. He's playing the world champion, and he would like to be in the process of knocking in centuries in consecutive frames.
83.
And you can see he's taking every shot as if it's the most important shot of his career. And clearly at this point, these aren't all that important. The fact that he's 5-3 up, though, is very significant.
$94.
Yeah, he's given everything to this break, and this black for back-to-back centuries for Sonny Akani.
101.
Well played. 101 for the tie to follow the 108 in the previous frame. He's taken a real grip on the match now. Mark Williams bang under it, trying to survive to the third round. But all the snooker is being played by his opponent. Sonny Akani leads Mark Williams 5-3.
3-9. Mark Williams to break.
Yes, and Williams' big problem here, not only has he got to improve his game, but he's now facing a player with a very grooved cue action that is working absolutely perfectly. Now that's a bit more like it.
1.
That one did not touch the sides. Williams has got to use anything like that as a positive to get him playing.
Six.
Doesn't like it, does he?
No, I don't think he's on it. I think if he was closer to that red, he might be able to play it with a touch of side and straighten the angle. But when the distance between cube and on object ball are so wide, you can't control it in the same way.
Well, it's disappointing. He's trying to just get going again, Williams.
Well, he caught that much too thick. He really did. For the red to go all that way up the table tells you that in itself. He's lucky there. He's lucky that the yellow's covered the red. Williams has got to start knocking these in. All his career, he's been knocking in pots like that. He looks vulnerable, I have to say, and kind of had that suspicion throughout this match. Still got to be beaten, though. The last frame can always be difficult to win. It's the one that gets you over the line. Doesn't always come easily.
1.
Akani, though, you feel that he's on a learning curve and he's on an upward curve. So just everything he's doing better and better, match by match. And a couple of centuries in successive frames will make him feel almost 10 foot tall out there. He's that sort of player.
4.
The concentration is absolutely superb. Looks like nothing could put him off. Well, if he goes into the bunch, there's not much room. They're very narrow, and it could easily slide off them. That's kind of what happened. It's a bit unlucky.
10.
It's a good recovery shot, and he's got a shot at the green as well. And this takes him down towards the reds. He's got to go in. Not right behind it by any means, and he knows that it could leave him in a lot of trouble if it doesn't go in. That'll do.
14.
As you can see, the cue ball is almost level with the green on the baulk line.
$15.
Can't say that he's got the cue ball on a string here, as we might call it. In other words, under complete control, because he hasn't. But he's got another difficult shot coming up. It's difficult in that he's almost a hiding to nothing shot. This, he'd drop it in, heading towards somewhere towards the left corner of the table. And it's got to be knocked in, this one. What is he on?
20.
Seems to have come in the one place where there's not an easy pot on. Maybe not even a pot at all. Just an extra ball's width further up, and he's on the red to the right corner, and he could have been away again. Time to play a meaningful safety shot. Can't always win the frame in one visit, as much as you'd like to. Don't know if he went for the pot there, but if he did, it was a poor shot either way, whether he did or whether he played the safety shot, to be perfectly honest. Quite how he's left that red on, I don't know.
1.
It was probably the worst shot he's played in the whole match.
Chance for Williams then. One thing we can say is that the winner will play Zhu Yulong, who's won 6-1. One of the many young, talented Chinese players.
Yes, Zhu Yulong wouldn't be fazed by playing Mark Williams if he comes back, because he beat him in Crawley, didn't he, in the English Open?
Well, will being behind here spur Williams on to produce his best snooker of the match? That's what happened, as I said, at the World Open.
6.
Well, he's done a lot of sitting out in the last 2.5 frames, hasn't he? Watching a couple of century breaks.
7.
That little nudge won't do him any harm.
$13. $14.
You play in behind the blue, but when you flick it on the way through, it's most annoying. That's a good recovery. And he really has to make this visit count.
19.
The first real chance for quite a while.
20. $26. 27.
Well, for a second I wondered if he was on this black, judging by his reaction, but I'm guessing he... Well, no, he isn't. Can you believe it? He's not on it. And he will be... He hasn't blinked at the moment, but until the inside he'll be absolutely raging that he's not on that.
One.
It's a terrific pot. He was slightly hampered, but he put everything into the pot. He's on the black.
It really was, Dave, wasn't it? What a shot. Such a solid strike. He was queuing awkwardly. That could be a match winner. That didn't help. Goodness me. Literally on his backswing, there was a huge crash. Enough to make you jump more than anything else.
Yeah, thankfully he did pot it. Just can take a moment to gather his thoughts.
He did, but I actually think that genuinely put him off, because he didn't really play it all that well. It's almost like he jumped. He's not on the red as he wants to be. It's literally made him a little scared, and it can do that.
Yeah, it's a couple of days before Halloween, but that was certainly a scare. It's a problem, I think, obviously you need big arenas for these tournaments with the 8 tables, and they are cavernous, but sound sort of carries, and a loud crash like that really did carry.
It was at the point of no return on his backswing as well.
Nine.
Well, there's a complete neutral in this match, but I'm absolutely delighted he knocked that in, because it would be horrible had that put him off. I think it's rare for a player to be completely put off by something. I go back to one of the old finals in the 80s. Tony Mio was playing, I think it was Steve Davis. Someone shouted out right on his backswing, and it completely put him off his shot, and he missed it. Lost the match. Often players are put off before the shot a little bit, and they get up and start it all again.
$30. 14.
So, big moments for Akani Songsermsawad. Akani, as we call him. He calls himself. A big chance. He's had some good wins, but this is the world champion he's playing. Now, if he can land in behind the red perfectly, then the match is there for the taking. And he's done it. 16 in front. He'll need it up to and including the green, based on the fact that he'll be taking pink or blue here.
30. 手机放下，手机。
Just a little straight on this.
Well, it's a great red he got in with. He's played some terrific snooker the last half an hour, 2 centuries in a row.
Yes, he's just finished at the wrong angle, and it means he's got just a fraction more work to do.
Yellow and green required for a famous victory. It would mean a lot to him to beat the world champion, particularly having played so well. But he's not quite there yet.
No, he's really put the cue ball in an awkward spot where the bottom right corner of the table will be digging into his thigh or something. It's a... You feel that all of a sudden, and just looking at him, he is feeling it. The referee should be watching the table, I think. I don't think the referee needs to be overdoing that. This is a big moment for the player. It's his sort of shot, I have to say, the way that he plays those stun shots quite beautifully. Match ball, and no one could deserve it more than this man.
Yeah, what a moment for Sonny Akani.
40.
Yeah, he's played so well from 3-2 down. And this will mean the world to him, this result. Mark Williams, the world champion, is out in the second round. Yes,
and he's the most hard-working player I think I've ever seen. He's absolutely charming as well, and he's a formidable talent. And I'm sure he's just going to get better and better. And of course, results like this are just going to boost his confidence.
49.
Delightful player, delightful person, great victory.
55.
So he had back-to-back centuries, 108, 101. Potted a great red to get in here.
62. And the match.
And it's cleared up with 62. Akani Songsermsawad, also known as Sonny, has rained on Mark Williams' parade here. The world champion scratches his head as he leaves the arena. He's been beaten 6-3.